Alright, hi, and this is still in the frame. But welcome to my channel. My name is Casey, and today's reading is going to be about what's going on in your life November 2023. So this month that just started, if you're watching this right when this is posted. But yeah, we're going to be going over what's happening in your career, what's happening in your major relationships. So for some of you, that might be your love life, or it could be maybe your close friendships or something going on in your family. Whatever's most prevalent will come forward, what you need to focus on most. And then we're also going to be looking at like what is your personal internal energy? What's your vibe going to be like this month? Like what's your mindset like? How are you feeling throughout this month? These are just going to be like the major key things going on, and we're going to be going through all that in these readings. So go ahead and pause, figure out which reading you feel most drawn to. I'll leave timestamps down in the description box below so you can quickly jump to whichever reading that you want to listen to. But this first pile, we have the green aragonite crystal. The second pile, we have the dendritic agate crystal. And the third pile, we have some angelite. So I did that a little bit out of order, but go ahead and pause, figure it out, and let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, pile one. If you chose the green aragonite, then this is the reading for you. And I had to start this one early. Usually I take a moment to like center all the cards. And I'm actually gonna go a bit out of order here because you just had something real weird happen when I was shuffling. So the order that I was going to go in was, we're going to look at like how are you doing internally, like what's your mindset like this month, then career, and then last is relationships. But I think the most prominent thing for you during this month is actually going to be your relationships, how you view your relationships, and your mindset around that. Because when it comes to your close relationships, you have the fear card, and then the weird thing that happened was I was shuffling, and right away, like usually it takes a few shuffles to get a card to fall out, the tower literally like flung off to the side, and I almost fell out of my chair trying to grab it. Like that's how far away it flung. And if you know anything about the tarot, you know the tower card is kind of the quote-unquote like the scariest card. Personally, I don't think the tower is an inherently bad card. But it has to do with major upheavals in our life, major changes that can honestly feel like a bit of an earthquake, like it's really shaking us. But I do believe it to be a positive card because these moments don't happen for no reason. You're never going to have a tower moment just to have a bad day or just to have a bad thing happen to you. Usually there is this shakeup, there's this major change because there's something that's meant to be removed from your life, there's something that's meant to be changed. Now, I want you to know that if you're in a very stable relationship at the moment, you guys have great communication, like if you're in a romantic relationship that you truly are like, oh, nothing weird is going on there, it could be that this specific message just isn't for you. This is meant for others that were drawn to this pile. Or, if you're not in a romantic relationship, it could be a familial relationship. But I want to preface this by saying that I don't want to say anything to scare you. You don't need to claim anything if it's not meant for you. You are still very much in charge of your own fate and your own destiny. Nothing is perfectly predetermined. And another thing, this is a general reading. It's meant for a lot of different people. I'm going to be very honest about what I see in the cards, but I don't want to scare you by saying something is definite because nothing is definite. That being said, I am going to tell you what these cards are telling me, but I want you to keep in mind all those things that I just said because I don't want you to think like, oh my god, somebody's gonna die. I don't do those kinds of predictions. I do not do death or health predictions of any kind. But what I see is in your close relationships during this month, it seems like there could be a shakeup of some kind going on. Possibly, like I'll throw out a few examples here. And this isn't saying this is what's exactly going to be happening to you per se, but it could be fear of a possible breakup. Maybe you and your partner are going through a very rough patch, there's lots of fighting, or maybe there's instability because maybe your partner, or if this isn't romantic for you, maybe a family member that you rely on loses their job, and so there's some fear and instability there. It seems like there's going to be some fear, instability, major changes within some relationships around you, and I think that might be causing you a lot of stress. So definitely keep an eye out for that. I'm not going to get too specific about what it could be that's possibly going on here because, like I said, I have a feeling it's going to be different for all of you. And I don't want to scare you by saying, like, this thing is going to happen at this time. I don't believe in doing that for readings. What I will say is if you feel like there has been something that's a long time coming, like a relationship is meant to come to an end, things have been unstable for a while, that might come to a head during this month. Or like I said, maybe it's a shakeup in somebody else's life, somebody that's close to you, and therefore you're feeling a little stressed out, a little fearful for them, or if you rely on them, it does affect you in some way. But like say, I don't want you to stress out. Just keep an eye out. Be aware of things that might be happening around you, possibilities going on in your relationships. Like if you get a weird vibe that something might be going on, something might happen, just pay attention to it a little bit more. But I needed to get that one out of the way first because it was just such like an intense energy. I feel like that's going to be the most important thing for you to hear. And also the cards having to do with your mindset during this month. You have repression and strength reversed, which leads me to believe that there's a strong lack of confidence, fears within yourself, stresses and anxieties regarding your ability to make something happen, or your self-empowerment. And I feel like that might be tied into your relationships, which is why I wanted to start with that. But I'm going to get more in detail here. So, like I said, you have the repression card, which is number 22, clarified by strength. Number 22 might be significant for you. I just wanted to throw that out there in case it is. But this really leads me to believe that there's a big feeling of lack of empowerment during this month and lack of personal confidence in your abilities, lack of your personal confidence in like maybe your spiritual path. I don't see any big shakeups regarding that. It seems like your career is very solid. It seems like it's more, this is in your head. These are the kinds of fears that you're dealing with. These are the kinds of feelings that you're going through. But a lot of it is just internal. With strength reversed, that's all about your personal confidence. So I want to reassure you by saying like these fears that you have, I'm not going to say that they're invalid, but maybe take a look at them and see like, do I actually need to be worrying about this at the moment? Or is this just like I'm blowing it out of proportion because I'm really scared of this thing happening or this thing not working out? And really work through that. Try to build up your personal confidence because I'm not getting any cards about you not being on the right path. So like I said, if it does have to do with your career or personal confidence in your abilities, I think that just might be something you want to focus on, being more in tune with, working on building rapport with yourself, like proving that you still have the ability to do whatever it is that you're trying to do. If it is regarding like fear that your abilities aren't enough, just find ways to prove to yourself that like, yes, it is still enough, like these fears aren't justified. Because I think this month you're going to be dealing with a lot of internal fears, a lot of internal stresses that maybe aren't super justified. And so that might be what you want to focus on this month, and just be aware of that. Like when you're feeling a strong lack of confidence or fears here and there, just being aware of like, okay, where is this coming from? What can I do to prove myself wrong so that these fears don't run rampant? In what ways can I give back to myself so I'm feeling a little bit better? But then moving on to your career here, you have strength and the King of Cups reversed. And so I think with the strength card, it's showing that everything in your career is going well. Like there's nothing falling apart. But there is some negative feelings here with the King of Cups reversed. So the King of Cups reversed has to do with a bit of emotional instability. I think, again, if we're talking about lacking confidence here, if you're lacking confidence not only in your relationships leading to these fears of things falling apart, fears of relationships collapsing or breaking up, but then it bleeds into fears with your career, like what if I'm not good enough? What if I'm not creative enough? What if my abilities aren't enough? What I will say to you is I think, at least in this month, your career is going to be the most stable thing for you. I'm not saying everything else is falling apart around you, but your worries about your career specifically, I want to give you this message that those fears are unjustified. Like, everything is still smooth sailing. Sorry if I'm sniffling. I have a bit of allergies right now, so if I sound a bit stuffed up, that's why. But it seems like everything career-wise, everything's stable, everything is smooth sailing. I think if you're getting a bit too much in your head and really stressed out, just take a step back and really look at it from an unbiased point of view and be like, okay, when I take my fears out of it, I see everything is where it should be, everything is happening at the pace that it should be, nothing is burning, nothing is collapsing, nothing is falling apart. I think you're going to be your biggest enemy this month, with your own personal beliefs. I feel like there's going to be this strong message in your head of, I'm not good enough, or I can't do it, or I'm not enough. And I want you to know that's all coming from within. I want you to really realize that a lot of it isn't justified. And I'm not saying that to invalidate your feelings, but more so to empower you to believe that, it's not proof, that these things don't have any proof behind them that you're actually not enough or that you actually can't do it. I think that you still have all the abilities in the world to succeed. You have all the abilities in the world to do what it is that you want to, and you are very lovable. Like, I think that you have some great relationships around you. But there's just a lot of fear going on within you this month. Fear that I think it's going to start with fears around your relationships, and when that breaks down your confidence, it bleeds over into your career, which I really don't see there being any basis to have fears around your career at this moment, because you have the strength card, which is like, it's like you're standing in this building and you're like, oh my god, it's going to fall apart at any second, it's going to fall apart, and it's like, well, if you took a step back, really look at the support beams, you see nothing's cracking, nothing's falling apart, those pillars are very strong, the roof is solid. Like, a lot of these fears are just coming from within you. There's no real basis for them to go on. Now, relationships are another thing. I'm not saying that, nothing crazy will be going on there, because you do have the Tower card. So I would say to expect some shakeups there. But as far as your career and your stability in your monetary life or your material life, all of that seems very stable this month. So let that be the one thing that you don't need to worry about. Allow that to stay stable. Allow that to support you while you deal with all these other things going on. Because the last thing you want when you're in this kind of like fear mindset of losing things is also not having that material stability, which is why I want to reinforce it so much. Like, don't worry about this. Just worry about other things that you have control over. So, Pile 1, that is everything that I have for you. I hope this found you when you need it the most. I hope it brought you clarity if you are feeling stressed out right now. And I hope that you have a great November. But that is everything that I have for you. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye. All right, Pile 2. If you chose the dendritic agate, then this is going to be the reading for you. Now, I want to start by saying that you're going to have a very positive month, but it's gonna end up being like one of those things where you're really stressed out, you're hitting a wall, and you're facing a lot of burnout, and then you decide like, okay, it's time to take some time off, time to give back to myself. I think November 2023 for you is gonna be a lot of giving back to yourself, seeing what things are unbalanced and putting energy into those, putting energy into yourself. Because I think, at least in your career, I think you've been working very hard for a very long time, and you haven't really gotten a lot of time to just enjoy the fruits of your labor, to see how far you've come, see how well you've done. And I feel like November for you is just going to be time to give back to yourself, give back to your energy, rejuvenate, take some time off. There's going to be a lot of emphasis on rest and rebalancing things. And with your relationships, I think there's going to be the removal of somebody who, it's been a long time coming, removing them. You're not going to miss them at all. You're probably going to know who I'm talking about here, but I'm going to get to that in due time. So the order that we're going in is like how you're going to be doing internally this month. What is your mindset going to be like? What's your energy like? How are you feeling during the month? Then your career, and then finally relationships. So let's go ahead and get into it. So starting with how you're doing internally, you have Message of Peace and Justice reversed. Like I said, I feel like this rest time for you has been a long time coming. With Justice reversed, I think I don't know if you will know it right now when you're watching this, but I think for a long time you've been very unbalanced. The scales just have been like tipped too much in one direction, and you haven't had time to give back to yourself, time to relax, time to actually feel fulfilled and enjoy life again. I think you've been very like in work mode. You've been working very hard. You've been focusing on a lot of things outside yourself, and this month is going to be all about coming back to yourself. And I think it's all going to come to a head in like a single moment where maybe maybe your therapist tells you like, why don't you take this month off? Or maybe you get a tarot reading telling you to take the month off. Maybe it's this reading and you realize you're like, yeah, I have been feeling really burnt out. I have been very unbalanced. But you have the card Message of Peace, number 35. And you're quite literally getting this message telling you to find peace because you're unbalanced. So I think there's going to be a moment where you suddenly have the decision yourself where it's like, I don't know if you're like an entrepreneur or you work for yourself, but something that happens when you work for yourself is you're very much your own boss. You're on your own clock. You're working on your own time. And so usually you don't have as much boundaries with your work, and especially in the morning, like there'll be a morning where you're really not feeling it, and it's like, well, I need to do this. You still have all this mental pressure on yourself to just do it, to get up and get it done. And then like on those days that you do end up taking a rest day, it's like you have this moment where it clicks and you're like, actually, this day is going to be a rest day. And then suddenly that pressure comes off you. But it's like you have to make that active decision to decide to take the day off. And I feel like for you, I don't want to call you a workaholic because, it's a general reading, but I feel like for you, you haven't really given yourself the go ahead to just have a day off, have a week off. And there's going to be this, with this Message of Peace card, there's going to be this moment where you're like, okay. And it's like finally the burden is lifted off of you, because I feel like you've been putting so much pressure on yourself to keep going, even when you don't have the energy to keep going. And so this month, it's going to be like your active decision to take some time to rest, to take some time to rebalance yourself. And I'm going to plug something here, which I know a lot of people don't like, but it's not something that I make money off of. It's just something I personally enjoy. I started up a podcast as kind of like a passion project, and I just did an episode about like how I personally deal with burnout, especially like when it comes to creative burnout. But next week's episode, or honestly, it'll probably be posted in the next few days, is going to be about the 6 different balances that we have to have in life. Like there's 6 different categories where if one is really falling out of balance, they can all fall out of balance. And I want to go in depth and talk about all those different areas of life that you need to focus on and be fulfilled in order to live a properly balanced life. And so if you're not quite sure where to start with like, okay, how do I rebalance myself? Maybe go check that out. It'll probably be in the description box below. But like I said, I don't make money off that. That's just something I really love to do. And part of the reason I do it is so that I can give people, when I do these readings, like I can give them something to actually do, something that they can actually take into their hands and have control over, rather than just like being like, oh, keep your head up, go rebalance, and you're like, I don't even know where to start. So, if you don't know where to start, maybe go check that out. But the next thing that I see for you here is we have what's going on in your career this month. And we have rest clarified by the 7 of Wands reversed and the 6 of Wands. And this is going to be very similar to like how you're doing internally, because I think that this is a direct response to what's going on in your career. Basically, what's going on in your career for this month is you're taking this time off, which thankfully, you have the rest card. With the 7 of Wands reversed, it's like you're finally, like, let me show you this card. The 7 of Wands, you see this guy who's like fighting off all these different sticks, but he only has the one stick, or wand rather, and it's like he's getting overwhelmed. They're climbing up this mountain, and I think for you, you've been dealing with so many different things, so many different problems in your career. Maybe, like I'm getting an image of like you're working in an office and everybody goes to you to fix the problems. Everybody's always putting new stuff on your desk, and you're just this one person. You can only deal with so much. And so you're just like, you're putting the closed sign on your desk and you're saying like, you know what? I'm closed. I need to take some time to relax, get my energy back, because I've been fighting off all these wands, all these different problems for so long. And it's going to be for a lot of benefit, because the next card that you have clarifying it is the 6 of Wands. And you see with this card, instead of fighting off these wands, you see this man who's in control. He's holding this wand. He's very powerful. He's sitting on this horse, and it's like all these people are below him. Instead of actively attacking him, it's like they're all perfectly in a row. I actually think it's really perfect because this is a bit of an aside, but when I was learning how to read reversed cards, which it's different for every tarot reader, but what you're actually supposed to do, or what I do, is when you have a reversed card, you go backwards one and you focus on this. So for example, the Seven of Wands is reversed. You can't move forward because this card is stuck. In order to move forward, you actually go backwards to the Six of Wands. So, because this guy is having trouble fighting off all these wands, he's super overwhelmed. He needs to go back to the confidence found in the Six of Wands, and then this card can be upright and you can properly move forward. So it's actually like a perfect explanation of what you're going through. You need to stop, go backwards, give some time to yourself, rest, rejuvenate, give energy back to yourself in order to move forward. Get back in tune with your confidence, get back in tune with your abilities, and you can only do that when you're giving yourself the proper time to rest, which I think is perfect for your reading. So it's actually kind of funny that the cards panned out that way. But finally, moving on to what's going on in your relationships this month. This one is actually very interesting, and this might contribute to this feeling of being unbalanced, because I think that there's going to be a bit of drama with somebody in your life. It seems like there's a specific person who you literally have the card that says fed up, but if you look at the card, it's clarified by the Ten of Swords. This card is like when you're tired, you're exhausted, you're at your wit's end, but you see this person is literally being backstabbed. I think that there's somebody in your life that you've made a lot of excuses for, who you've tried helping, but they just take advantage of your help. They're not really helping you back. Maybe they talk behind your back. Maybe it's somebody that's actively, metaphorically stabbing you in the back. And you're coming to this point where you're like, I need to remove them from my life, because I feel like the kind of energy of this whole month is removing things that are no longer serving you, taking out negative energy, cleansing away all the things that are hurting or pain, so that you can rest, relax, rejuvenate, and come back to yourself stronger than ever. If this is maybe a colleague, maybe you're deciding to fire somebody from your business, or at work, maybe you're distancing yourself from a specific coworker or making boundaries with them, or maybe it's like somebody who's a part of your friend group who's always talking behind your back, and you're just tired of having this person in your space. You're getting really fed up, and for some of you, it could be like a direct thing where you tell this person off. For others, I feel like it's you're energetically closing off to them. You're no longer allowing them to have any time from you. You're no longer allowing them in your space. You're putting up those energetic boundaries to basically say, like, I don't need to say anything to this person. I'm just going to cut them off. I'm going to ghost them, or I'm going to make space from them. I'm not going to allow them back into my life and back into my energy, because all they do is take, and they're just a pain, to be honest. So I think that this month for you is probably, in the beginning, it's going to be pretty emotionally taxing, with all the stresses that you're under, the feelings like you have a lack of balance in your life. But it's all going to end up panning out for the best, because that's going to be the catalyst to kind of set off this healing and this growth, and the cutting away of old things that no longer support you, things that are no longer giving to you in a positive way. And you're going to see that with this relationship leaving you, this person who's a nuisance, no longer being in your life, and also taking some personal time off from your career, your job. Even though it's scary to take time off, especially if you're a workaholic and you're like, well, when I'm not working, I'm not making money, my business isn't working. But it's all going to allow you to come back stronger than ever. You're going to finish out this month feeling very confident in everything, and you're going to be feeling very balanced. I think the big key thing that you're doing this month is rebalancing your life. And like I said, if you feel drawn to do so, you absolutely don't have to. I don't make money off of it. But go ahead and check out that podcast episode. Something I like to say is, it's stuff that personally works for me, stuff that personally helps me. But if it doesn't help you, at least you know what you don't like. At least you know what direction not to go in. But that episode is going to be all about how to live a properly balanced life, all the different things that you need to do in order to keep a balanced and fulfilled life. So, that might be something that you're interested in. But Pile 2, that is everything that I have for you. I hope this reading found you when you need it the most, and yeah, thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye. Alright, pile 3, last but certainly not least. If you chose the Angelite, then this is going to be the reading for you. Now, your reading is very unique, very interesting. Specifically, so the way that we're doing this is we're looking at like what's going on with you internally, what's your mindset like, what's your emotions like, then of course your career and your relationships. But what's going on with you mentally is very interesting, to put it one way. I don't exactly know how to explain it, other than I think that you're a very cerebral person. I think that you're very in tune with your spirituality, your spiritual path, and there's a lot going on in your head this month. There's going to be a lot of learning, growth, changing, all with you internally. I think the way that you're going to be thinking at the beginning of the month and the person that you are at the beginning of the month is no longer going to exist by the end of the month. Like there's a lot of growing and changing. Like maybe you're reading new books, maybe you're listening to a lot of podcasts, maybe you're watching a lot of different videos and just learning and changing. I'm getting this image of like evolution, like when it's like a time lapse of the evolution of like a baby growing up to a person. Something very interesting is going on with you this month. I think also like there's a lot of healing, like emotional healing going on, but it almost like I'm getting this image of like a very carefree person. Like with this 7 of Swords, like we usually in the tarot world, this is like the trickster card. It's like somebody getting away with something, but I'm actually getting more of like a Fool vibe from it. If you know the Fool, it's all about like childlike innocence, carefree. Sometimes this can get us in trouble, but mostly the energy I'm seeing from you here is like you running away from things that no longer serve you and they can't even touch you. Like you just have this bright light around you. You're like laughing, running forward, healing, growing, evolving, and just having like a great time. Like I think that there's going to be a big sense of positivity coming from you this month. Especially you have learning and freedom. The number 4, 17, 7 might be important to you. But with learning and freedom, like I said, I think that there's going to be a lot of growth, evolution, and you branching out. I think that this is going to be a really creative month for you. I think you're also just going to be feeling really great. Like I'm getting a very positive, high vibe energy from you. Now, you don't want this to go too crazy where you're like, there is a warning that comes with the Fool card, for example. Like, you can be very carefree, but if you don't look where you're going, you can fall over the cliff. So, you're doing great, but also just, be wary of, like, moving too fast through things. But there's just this big sense of, like, positive growth, leaving behind things that no longer serving you, but doing it with a smile on your face. Like when we think of growth and healing, a lot of the times we think of like tears and sadness and like hard lessons learned. But with you, it's like cutting off things that no longer serving you and you feel so much lighter, like you could almost fly. Like I'm just getting a really positive vibe from you. Maybe just getting really in tune with things that you love to do as a child. Like I'm getting like inner child work, but in the playful sense, like just playing again, having fun, doing things that make you really happy and fulfilled. And here with your career, I also see just a really positive work-life balance happening here. I think that this growth is not only internal, but you're applying it to the rest of your life. And with your career here, you have the Growth card, the Empress, and the Knight of Swords. And I think that this is a really interesting set of cards to have here, because obviously growth is very positive. I think that you're really blossoming this month. Like I said, you have a very positive energy. Things are going great for you. But you also have this perfect balance of the Empress, which is this like feminine energy of like allowing yourself to sit back, receive abundance, allowing yourself to relax, to rejuvenate yourself, to be healing and resting properly. But also the Knight of Swords, you rush forward, you're taking action on things, you're making things happen. So like I say, I think this month you're going to be having this perfect work-life balance where when you're at work, whatever that job may be, I think that you're going to be working very hard. You're going to be feeling very much in your purpose, like you're doing what you're meant to be doing. You're making things happen on the business side of things. You're going to be seeing a lot of growth there. The growth card here can also be like growth, like monetary growth, like you're enjoying the fruits of your labor, like business is picking up. I'm getting this sense that a lot of you, maybe like you have your own business, maybe you run your own shop, or whatever it is. I feel like there's this sense of like things really picking up, like people finding your work, finding what it is that you're selling, whatever that may be. For those of you that like you don't have your own business, I just see it like you growing in the ranks, or like people really noticing like, oh yeah, that person, pile 3, they're putting in a lot of work. They're doing great work here. And just this like kind of like glowing shine, like everybody in the workplace is like all eyes on you, but not in a bad way. Like in a, wow, they're really working hard. They're doing great stuff. They're making things happen. And just the sense of like working really hard, gaining a lot of abundance. But with the Empress card, there's also this perfect, like when you're off work, you're resting, you're relaxing, you're giving back to yourself, you're taking time to be around those that you love, taking time to give back to yourself. And it's like this perfect balance of like when you're on the clock, you're working hard, you're making things happen. As soon as you're off, vacation mode. Like it's the perfect kind of balance where maybe you're learning to like there's this thing that I learned called being where your feet are, where it's like when you're at work, you're at work. As soon as you're at home at the dinner table, your mind is no longer at work. Your mind is focused on the people around you. You're being where your feet are. And I think that that is something that you're really employing this month. And then finally, with your relationships, you actually have something interesting going on here. I don't know if you're dealing with a kind of like no connection or no contact situation with somebody. It doesn't even need to be that. Maybe somebody new came into your life. I'm getting this sense that there's somebody that's not really in direct contact with you, but energetically is like reaching out to you. And this will come in the form of dreams for you. I think if you're a very intuitive person, and you pay attention a lot to like what's going on in your dreams or what you're feeling intuitively, you might be noticing a certain person popping up a lot in your dreams. But there's this warning here to not let them have too much access to your energy, like maybe protect yourself, maybe cleansing your space, cleansing yourself before bed, because I feel like this person's energy is going to be very persistent. Like they really want to reach out, or they're just, it's like kind of like a Venn diagram kind of thing where you have these two circles. This person really wants to intercept your circle. And in order to protect yourself, in order to have like good proper rest and not be invaded by this, you gotta like allow yourself to push their energy out. Now this is going to be kind of like for those of you that do partake in energy work. If you don't really know where to start, you might want to do some research for yourself. But during this month, with your relationships, the most prominent thing is I think that there's going to be a lot of focus on who this person is that you're dreaming about. You might be thinking about them a lot. I think this person could definitely be manifesting you. And this could be a really exciting thing, especially if it's somebody that like you're into and it's like, oh, I'm dreaming of them, like I'm thinking of them. But it can also be really exhausting when you have somebody constantly tugging on your energy, trying to invade your energy in that way. And so you might want to set up some boundaries energetically. Maybe look into how to cleanse yourself, cleansing your space. I actually have a video up on my channel. It's in a playlist called like spiritual stuff or whatever. And it's all about how I personally cleanse and protect myself and my space. And, you know, as a tarot reader, I'm dealing with a lot of energies. So maybe check that out. It might be for you. If you don't vibe with it, that's fine. At least you know what you don't enjoy. But I encourage you to check that out because that's like a good starting space, at least with stuff that I personally use and approve of. But do your own research, or maybe you have your own methods. But I think it's going to be really important for you to protect your energy. I don't think this person is necessarily malicious for the majority of you. I think for some of you, it definitely could be somebody that you don't want to invite into your life. For others, I think this person doesn't even realize what they're doing. I think that they just naturally are a very strong manifester and they are very easily invading your energy. And it's like they're just very curious about you, wondering what you're doing, thinking about you a lot, and you're picking up on that because I think that you are a very sensitive, kind of like empathic person. So there is that kind of warning there. I don't think anything super bad is happening there. It's just like if you're feeling more exhausted than usual, you feel like your dreams are a little too chaotic and you wake up feeling exhausted even after a long night's rest, it could be because you're just doing a lot of dream work because this person is like trying to invade your energy. So keep that in mind. But all in all, it looks like you're going to be having a great month. So that's everything that I have for you. So thank you so much for watching. I hope this found you when you needed the most, and I wish you a great November. Bye-bye.